I'm coming to you from Innate Healing in Durban, South Africa. Today, the talk that I'm going to be giving is about mastering the art of deeper connection. I aim to make this talk experiential and to offer you practical, everyday tools and tips that you can apply in your own life. So I hope you'll grab a pen and notepad and join me as we dive in. What is connection? What does this mean? And what does it mean to be connected versus disconnected? I like to describe connection and disconnection as being polarities on a spectrum. When you are disconnected, you feel out of sorts, out of alignment, less than, contracted, constricted, potentially in fear, maybe in a state of overwhelm. And when you're feeling connected, you feel aligned and centered, you feel expanded, and you feel open, grounded, well balanced. Now, we can feel connected and disconnected in varying degrees, and obviously this depends on your current state of being. But generally speaking, there's a sense of expansion in connection and openness, and there's a sense of contraction or disconnection that leaves you feeling less than in the other side of the spectrum. So let's explore this further in the talk as we go through the different levels, and you will begin to see how all of these pieces fit together. Okay, so first point in mastering the art of deeper connection is awareness. And awareness means you need to be present to know what's actually happening in your day. You may think you're aware, but I want you to think back to the last conversation you had. How present were you in that conversation? Or was your mind thinking about the next thing to say? Or perhaps even thinking about a different conversation altogether? Maybe you were thinking about things you needed to go and do after the conversation, or perhaps what you wanted to say to the person despite what they were saying to you. We often are busy in our heads, going round and round in the past and the future and not in the present, not really noticing what's happening. And we don't know that we're not being present until we start to become aware of where we are. So the first thing to ask yourself is, how aware am I in my day? How present am I? How fully in this moment am I operating? Is it maybe just a fraction of what it could be? Or could I improve my faculties, my senses, and my consciousness to be more here, more now? Because when you are in the moment, you will know whether you are connected or disconnected pretty quickly. So that's point number one. The next point for us to explore is breath work. Now, contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be a yoga guru or a meditation specialist to practice effective breathwork technique in your day. Diaphragm breathing is really simple, powerful, profound, and exceptionally good at improving a deeper connection. Now, before we get into that, let's have a look and see how you're breathing in the moment. I want you to place one hand over your chest and the other over your belly, and just take a normal breath in and out. And notice which hand is moving. Are you finding that when you're breathing, the top hand is moving? If this is the case, then you're using a shallow chest breath. And if you're using the diaphragm breath to breathe, then your lower hand will be moving with your breath. When we use the diaphragm breath, the belly will move away from the spine as you breathe in, and then on the exhalation, it'll return back to the spine as the diaphragm contracts and squeezes the air out of the lungs. So take a moment to orientate yourself with the diaphragm breath, and remember, breath in, belly out, breath out, belly in. It's a nice simple way to remind you of the process of diaphragm breathing. Good. Well done. I know that very often it can feel counterintuitive when you first practice diaphragm breathing, but believe me when I tell you, it is a far more deeper, connected, and grounded form of breath work. The interesting thing is that when the diaphragm muscle is activated, the vagus nerve is also stimulated. And the vagus nerve has amazing benefits for balancing the nervous system, as well as moving the body out of fight or flight and into a space of calm, rest and digest. So it's really useful when we're feeling heightened states of anxiety or stress and we need to calm ourselves and bring ourselves into the moment. I'm going to take you through a rhythm now of breathing where we will use diaphragm breath for the count of the following. Inhalation for 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, and exhalation for 8 counts. So prepare yourself. If you need to place your hands back in the position I described earlier, that's absolutely fine, or perhaps you're comfortable with simply placing your hands over your belly, also fine. But let's synchronize our breath together now. So breathing in and out and synchronize. In count, inhalation, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fantastic. Take a normal breath and feel the difference that your body is experiencing just from having taken a few good diaphragm breaths. Now in your day, if you can find a space, I like to do this at the beginning or the end of my day, to do 10 full diaphragm breaths with that count. You'll be amazed at the benefits that you'll experience. If initially the count feels a little bit too difficult or maybe a little too long, you're welcome to shorten the length of count or the length of breath to whatever feels comfortable to you. But as you become more connected and aligned with this kind of breathing, you will find that your body will respond so well to this profound form of breath. So take a moment once you've done this breath work to just check in with yourself and see and note any changes, any differences that you feel just from having done the simple cycle of 10 breaths of diaphragm breathing. It's something that can be done quietly without making a big fuss, and you can really do it anywhere. It's something I really like to use if I find myself in a situation where I'm uncomfortable or I'm feeling out of sorts, and it's amazing how quickly it can put me back on track. So I'd really recommend that you try this exercise and see for yourself. Okay, so we've had a look at awareness and we've had a look at breath work. And now we're going to explore a beautiful technique called the pause. I first came across this technique when I was studying with the School of Practical Philosophy, and it has really stayed with me and changed my life over the years that I've been using it. I'm very aware that there are many different modalities that use a similar technique and perhaps just give it a different name. No matter which name you know it by or which modality you may have been introduced to it through, this is still one of the most simple and effective ways of bringing you into the moment and thereby into a state of connection. They call it the pause because instead of it being a full stop, it's kind of like a comma in your day. And it's best used in a space where maybe you've had one activity and you're moving into another. This technique is known as the pause because it's designed to be used between activities. So it's not a full stop, but rather a comma between an activity, for example, like making a phone call and then going off to have lunch. I'd like you to consider when you're taking a photograph of somebody and that person is moving as you catch the photograph. What's going to happen is you're going to have a blurred image of the person that you're photographing. And if you really want to take a good pic, you got to say to them, would you mind sitting still while I focus my lens on you so that I can get an in focus and sharp image? Same thing for the pause technique. So if you consider that in your day, when you're rushing about from one activity to the next, you're a bit of a blurred image. And when you apply the pause technique, you're bringing yourself into focus and allowing all of your energies and all of the different parts of you that may be scattered or fragmented from your day and the activities of it into one place, collected, aligned, and connected. So very simply, the pause utilizes the 5 senses, and I'm going to take you through this exercise now. I want you to take a moment, firstly, to bring your awareness into this moment as you're watching this video. So bring your mind here, bring your breath here, and take a moment to focus that breath like we've just done in the previous exercise with a beautiful diaphragm breath, bringing your awareness into the moment. Okay, so that's the first point. Awareness that you need to focus, and then bringing your awareness to your breath, deepening the connection, activating that vagus nerve, grounding and centering your energy in the moment. Now you're going to move your focus or your awareness to your sense of sight. I want you to look around you right now. Look around you as if you've never seen what you're seeing ever before. Allow yourself to explore the sights of color and texture and light. Really explore the objects. And if your mind wanders off, which it may, just bring it back to your breath and to exploring the visual feast around you. And breathe. Good. Now turn your awareness to your sense of hearing and take a moment to listen to the further sound you can hear. Again, as if you've never heard those sounds ever before. What can you hear? Are they sharp sounds or dull sounds? Are they loud or soft? Good. And now bring that hearing to the closest sound you can hear. Again, focusing your breath as you listen. And if your mind wanders off, bringing it back to the process. Good. Now we're going to turn your awareness to your oral cavity and the taste sense. So have a little swallow and roll your tongue around the inside of your mouth and taste what tastes and flavors you may be experiencing inside your mouth right now. Is it that cup of coffee you've just had, or perhaps it was toothpaste, breakfast or lunch or dinner? Swallow to improve the focus of that area. Good. Now turn your awareness to the sense of smell. What aromas can you smell? Really allow that air to travel in through your nostrils. Get a sense of what the air around you smells like. Very good. And finally, move your awareness to your sense of feeling and touch. What do the clothes feel like on your body? What does the air feel like on your skin? What are you resting on? Are there any internal areas of your body, perhaps tight shoulders, or are you feeling tired physically? Very well done. And that's it. That is the exercise of the pause. So take a breath, and perhaps you want to pause this video and make a note of what you experienced, what you observed, as you brought yourself into the moment and into a deeper sense of connection. And now we're going to explore a practice which essentially takes you inward and allows you to scan the various levels of your being and get a sense of how you are operating on these different levels. So I'd like you now to close your eyes as I take you through the next exercise. Let's begin as we have before, with focusing your awareness in the moment. And then bringing your attention to your breath and allowing yourself to take a few beautiful, deep diaphragm breaths. And throughout this process, if your mind wanders off, just gently bring it back to the process. So you've brought your awareness into the moment and you've taken a few breaths. And you can, before we do the deeper exercise, take a moment to do the pause, which is very quickly scanning through the different senses, allowing you to deepen that sense of connection. Now I want you to bring your awareness to your physical body. Beginning at the top of your head, you can visualize a line running from your crown all the way down your spine, through your tailbone, and you can visualize that line extended beyond the feet in a beautiful straight line. You can use this line to focus your awareness if your mind does tend to wander. So just bringing it back to that line and focusing again on the level of your being that we're working with. So the physical body, beginning at the top of your head, get a sense of how relaxed your eyelids are, your muscles in your face, your jaw, your shoulders. Can they relax a little? Can you let anything go? How comfortable is your physical body right now? Are there any areas of tightness or discomfort? Following that relaxation down your chest and your shoulders into your belly and allowing your internal organs to relax. Is there anything physically happening that you can become aware of as you scan? Any areas perhaps that might need some TLC, that are talking about levels of experience in your day. Maybe you had some exercise and your legs are stiff. Maybe you've been sitting at your computer too long and your back is tired. Just gently following that awareness down into your hips, down into your legs, into your feet. Good. Now turning your awareness to the emotional level. And scan very lightly for any feelings that you may be experiencing. Maybe you're feeling frustrated or anxious or generally curious and inspired by this video. What is the general sense of emotion that you are currently experiencing in your life? Is there any area of your body that seems to be holding more emotion than another area? Perhaps, for example, if you're experiencing anxiety, do you feel it in your belly? Or maybe you feel the frustration and responsibility of work on your shoulders. Sense of overwhelm. Perhaps stress and tension in your head. Can you give it a color? Or a density? Or a feeling of shape? Texture? Quantifying emotion through description helps us get in touch with what we might be experiencing. The other thing that you can consider is if your body on the emotional level was like a pot, how full would that pot be of emotion? Are you fairly clear and light of emotion, or do you feel that you're so full of emotion that your pot is running over with it? How much is there inside? When last did you check in? perhaps the emotional level is not a zone you like to explore. Or perhaps the emotional level is the zone that you feel you operate from primarily. Again, we're just observing. Following the emotional level, we're going to now turn your awareness to your mind frame. How clear and focused are you? How busy is your mind? Or how scattered and fractured have you been in this exercise? Have you had to keep bringing your mind back into the moment? Do you feel like your head is so full of thoughts that it's difficult to know which way you're coming or going? Again, if your mind frame were a pot, how full of thoughts would it be? And are there any thoughts perhaps linked to any emotions that you've experienced, or any physical sensations that you've picked up? At this point, we're simply exploring and observing what is happening on the different levels within your being. The final one to explore would be the sense of spiritual level or energetic levels of your being. And if you bring your awareness back to that core center line, get a sense of whether that line feels straight, or do you feel like you're pulling off to one side? Or maybe you're even feeling beside yourself. Do you feel clear and light, or do you feel like you have a cloud around you? If you were to give it a color, or a texture, or a density, could you say, for example, that maybe you're living under a cloud of stress and it feels like it's permeated the air around you? Or perhaps you're so excited that your energy feels like it's completely expanded around you. You may feel so tired or stressed that your energy feels like it's completely contracted and that there's nearly no space in the energy around your body because you are feeling so deficient. Do you recognize yourself in any of these descriptions? This exercise is best practiced. And initially, you may be confused about what you're experiencing or scanning. The point is that we're simply observing. We're not here to change what you're feeling, but to touch base with yourself and allow your body to give you levels of information on the different vibrations of your being. And when you are aware of what you're experiencing and you're tuning in, your body has an ability to access that innate sense of connection and autocorrect that may be needed, and will drop you levels of insight and information about what you might be needing right now. So tune in, get a sense of what's happening, and make some notes about what you've picked up in your body today. Okay, so the next part of this mastering the art of deeper connection is the art of asking questions and taking time to listen to whether your body is telling you that something is opening you up or closing you down. At the beginning of this video, I spoke about how when we are connected, we feel a sense of expansion and openness, a feeling of being aligned. And when we are disconnected, we feel like we're being shut down or becoming less than, smaller than, contracted in some way. When you start to pay attention, you will notice that your body gives you signs all day long about whether things are working or not working for you, and whether things are just kind of neutral. That's an answer in itself and useful to add to the equation of information we're gathering about what's happening in our world. So let's get a little sense of what I mean by this. I want you to think now of something that was really positive that happened to you, a memory of a really great achievement or a lovely experience you had, and try and get a sense of like what you felt in that moment. Did you feel perhaps an excitement and a little bit of butterflies in your belly, or a feeling of elation that you could conquer the world, that you could almost take on anything? We're looking for an exaggerated sense of connection and expansion, because once you've identified the bigger feelings, you can learn to fine-tune when you experience something on a more soft and quiet level as to whether it's open or closed or neutral. So feel that feeling, that memory, and allow yourself to get a sense of what was happening in your body in that moment. Did you feel like you had more energy? You feel like you could take on the world. Perhaps there was a sense of confidence, security, intuition. When you begin to listen to those parts of you that speak so loudly, you'll notice that there are patterns about how you tend to respond in a state of connection, which makes them easier to identify. Okay, now I want you to think of something that didn't go well, a memory of something that wasn't pleasant or perhaps was quite disappointing. Get a sense then of how you felt physically, emotionally, mentally. A sense of less than, tiredness, drained, fatigued, disappointed. Can you feel how your body contracted in that moment? Good. Now think of something which was like perhaps something you didn't have a particularly strong feeling about either way. Maybe like a meal that you just had, or a conversation that wasn't particularly stimulating but also wasn't bad. A neutral feeling. And observe the neutral feeling in your body. Great. You now have a frame of reference to work from. So you can ask yourself a question and get a sense of how your body responds to that information. When you start to listen to the information that your body provides you with, you'll be able to make different decisions. These decisions will come from a place of connection versus disconnection, and a space of response versus reaction. We ultimately have an ability to know what will be in our best interests. And if we learn to listen for that information, we can truly make better choices. So see what your body has to tell you today and be brave enough to follow the answers you receive. So far we've explored awareness and breath work. We've looked at the pause, going within, asking questions. The next point to consider in mastering the art of deeper connection is the question of balance, and whether you are using the law of balance and harmony to your advantage or disadvantage. The law of harmony and balance states that true abundance is giving and receiving in equal measure. So for this point, you need to do an honest assessment of your life and look at where you are giving and receiving. By giving, I mean not only offering to others, but think of it as a pouring out of energy. And by receiving, it's not only receiving from others, but perhaps receiving energy in some form in your life. It could be applied to, for example, receiving too much stress, or maybe giving too much of yourself to others. These are concepts that you need to explore in terms of where that balance is playing out in your life, and whether you are able to put the right boundaries in place to say yes or no when you need to, based on what your body is telling you feels right for you in that moment, according to the connection and the guidance of your inner being. When you listen and you make decisions based on the information that's provided and choose to give or receive less or more in any area of your life, you will enhance your connection. In conclusion, the final point for consideration in mastering the art of deeper connection is the Zen of practice. Any skill or habit needs to be practiced to become part of your lifestyle. So I want you to think about the different points we've discussed today and which one has really jumped out at you. Consider which one has really resonated, or that you've thought, yeah, I can take that on board. I can see myself making that a part of my daily practice. Regardless of which one you've chosen, or hopefully more than one, it needs to be practiced in some kind of structured way. So perhaps you can set yourself an alarm on your phone to remind you to check in, or enlist a connection buddy to have a weekly chat with and follow the advancements that you're making in learning to connect on a deeper level. However you choose to explore the routine and the practice of these different skills and tips, know that the effort will be completely worth it. Because when you are tuned in and that internal GPS has been turned on and you are following a higher, more profound version of yourself, you can smile within and know that it's because the universe and your higher self is conspiring towards you and you've chosen to listen. Thank you so much for your time and sharing the space with me today. I hope you found the information useful. And if there is any information that you would like to discuss further, or if you'd like to contact me, my details will follow this video. But until then, much love and gratitude.